Chapter 4 Season 4 is here, and that means we have some new settings to go through. Oh, what in the hell? Now, hopefully you guys aren't struggling too bad with your FPS. My gameplay honestly hasn't been too awful, maybe because I'm dual PC. But either way, I am here to help you all out. We're going to be going through all the best in-game Fortnite settings. I'm going to show you how to optimize your Epic Games launcher and lower your input delay. I'm even going to tell you about a cheeky little tweak you can make that will actually improve your ping. Lower freaking ping! So as always, like, subscribe, use code JERIAN to support me. Also use the timestamps down below. But without further ado, let's get into the Chapter 4 Season 4 settings guide. Alright, so to start off, we actually have not a setting, and you'll see what I mean by that in a minute. What it actually is a huge visual change that Epic made that not only they just did not mention or talk about at all, but I really haven't seen anyone on Twitter or like any pros talk about it. And what it essentially is that Epic changed the build break animation. So, I don't know if you guys just saw that, but I'll probably run it back in slow motion as well as do it right here. When you break a wooden wall now, or any wall, which I'll show with these ones, you get this sort of weird like overlay wall. It's a fake wall that's the same color as your normal wall, and it only appears after you actually break the normal one. It's really strange. So this is what it looks like with the brick. You're again gonna see it, but it's gonna be more gray this time. It almost looks like your screen like flashes. It's so weird, and I'm not used to it yet. Here's a metal wall breaking. It's the same thing, but why I'm mentioning it is, like I said, it's not actually a setting that you can turn on or off. You cannot change it. And literally to prove that, I'm gonna switch to high meshes, which I'm already on them, but you need your view distance to be above near. So here again is one wall of each color, or each build. We have wood, and you see it's really quick, but it does come up. I'll show it in slow motion. Now again, for brick, you're gonna see, boom, it comes up. It kind of has the brick overlay, like the little bricks, but it's more gray this time. And then finally, metal. Metal looks like brick, but it's the same color. It's just not, though. Realistically, you guys don't even really have to know what it looks like, or the fact that brick and wood are different colors. What is important, though, is that it's not a bug, like I said. It's meant to be in the game. I think it's supposed to either help performance or maybe just help FPS, because you can see it's for all builds now. So that was a cone. Let me actually build up and break a floor. You're gonna see, boom, for that split second, it becomes the weird new build break animation. Ugh, excuse me. They did not mention why they put it in the game or even just putting it in general. I haven't really noticed. Let me see my FPS. When I build and break stuff, my FPS does not change at all, so I think it's a dub. But one last thing I want to show and just get you guys to understand is that it actually does not affect your pre-fires. So I'm in a little pre-fire map that Martos made. Look, you can see when your opponents break your wall, the same thing happens. The little split second weird, just new build break animation. But what's good about it is that it doesn't actually function as like a wall. So when that thing comes up, the actual wall is still broken. You can shoot through it and you will do damage. Your pre-fires have not changed. Oh. Bang. You don't even have to time them differently. And here's proof of that if I just spray. It goes through the new overlay wall that they put in the game. And that means you don't have to play any differently. You don't have to like wait for the second one to break. You can time everything perfectly normally now. Oh my god. Dude. This brother won't let me get a shot in. Bang. So yeah. How the hell do I get out of here? Moving on though to the actual important settings, and we're going to start in the Epic Games launcher. I'm going to move it over here and go to my library. Your library might look different to this. It might look like this, where Fortnite is bigger. Mine was just in like the little list mode. You can click either icon, but where you want to go is to the three little dots next to Fortnite. Ignore my 5,000 hours time played, by the way. But you're going to click the three little dots. You're going to go over to options, and you should be greeted by your Fortnite installation options. So the big change Epic made with these options in Chapter 4 Season 4 is, you might notice, the disable cosmetic streaming option. It went from 5 gigabytes to a whopping 27, or well, 26.57. You guys know that usually, like for high resolution textures, for example, I always tell you guys to uninstall this because it's 9 gigabytes. It really does not do anything. It actually hurts your FPS. So I tell you guys to uncheck it, go over to apply and make sure that your download size is 0, hit apply, and that's going to uninstall that option streaming from your game. Oh wow, mine already. I was gonna wait a second, but it's literally done in a millisecond. Going back to the Fortnite installation options though, you can see that disable cosmetic streaming, it's now 6 gigabytes. And all I did was uninstall the high resolution textures. So what the actual tip is, on top of uninstalling high resolution textures, you guys should already have this uninstalled though, is actually regardless of if you have high resolution textures on or off, make sure that you check disable cosmetic streaming. You want this one checked. What disable cosmetic streaming does, I will read the description from Epic Games, is it downloads the necessary cosmetics when you encounter them while playing Fortnite. Epic notes that slower internet connections may experience performance issues when the game is streaming cosmetics, but then they say that turning this feature off, which is what I recommend, that will require more disk space. Hopefully you guys see why I'm telling you to turn this off. Epic Games literally kind of said it themselves, but I kid you not, this setting sounds exactly like what it is. It makes the game stream and download different cosmetics only when you run into them in a match. And yes, I know that might sound kind of good because like, if you don't run into anyone, then your game will be working really well. But unless you have like godly internet, you do not want the game streaming and downloading all these cosmetics as you're playing. Your ping is gonna spike, your game is gonna feel like crap. The only actual downside is if you have high resolution textures, or even if you're just using the normal setting, you're checking disable cosmetic streaming, turning cosmetic streaming off, you're gonna need more disk space because you're gonna have to download all the cosmetics. That's what this 6 gigabyte is. When you have high resolution textures, it becomes an extra 19. But that's why I recommend that you turn off high resolution textures, so this one should be unchecked, and that you also disable cosmetic streaming or check this one, which is 6 gigabytes. Just apply, make sure your settings look exactly like those ones in the installer options, and boom, not only will your game feel better, but you'll actually have way better ping than before. Finally, moving over to the actual in-game settings that you guys care about, we're going to go over all of these, and for that, let me move my face cam. Starting with the display options, we have window mode, which you guys know, always try to have this in full screen or windowed full screen, never windowed. Resolution though, I have on 1920 by 1080. 1600 by 900 really is not a bad option if you want some extra FPS, but I think the majority of people use 1920 by 1080, or you might have something different if you're on a 4K monitor. VSync though, always turn off. In-game Fortnite VSync sucks ass. Frame rate limit have at either the same or 1 FPS above your monitor's refresh rate. So I'm on a 240Hz monitor. I have mine at 240 FPS. If you're on a 160Hz monitor, go to 165. 144Hz, go to 160 FPS. And then finally, rendering mode. What the hell was that sound? The best rendering mode in Chapter 4 Season 4 is Performance Mode yet again. I will still show the settings for DX11 and DX12, so don't worry, but Performance Mode, use this for the best FPS. And actually, something that's worth noting that I'll show just because we were right here, like, literally a minute ago, is in your Fortnite installation options, you have the option for your DirectX12 Shaders. For the majority of you guys that actually play on Performance Mode, I would recommend unchecking this and applying. That's going to remove the DirectX12 Shaders from your game that you won't even use. It'll save you 5 gigabytes, but what it also does, which is why I have it checked and downloaded, is you won't have the option for DirectX12 anymore. I'll show that in game right now. So if you do not have the option for DirectX12 in your rendering mode, which yes, my face is blocking, that is the reason why, and that's fine because the majority of you guys should be using performance mode, as I said. Down over to the graphics settings, I'm gonna skip these because we're saving that for the end, and we're just gonna go to the graphics quality options specifically for performance mode. DirectX12 and DX11 will be after. Something that's actually interesting is I heard that 3D res, oh my lord, they changed 3D res so you can go below 20%. 20% used to be the lowest. Now you can go to 0, which, I have to restart. Bruh, how come it don't work? I wanted 0% 3D res, man. Oh! Oh my god, maybe it does work. Oh! What in the hell? Oh my god. Why is that a thing? Yeah, and you guys thought mobile graphics was potato mode. Bruh, get me out of this. Regardless though, most of you should be on 100% 3D res. You could try out 1% if you want the graphics you just saw. View distance though, most of you should have on near, textures on low, meshes as well on low. Mine says high, and the reason for that is because I just want to show that you can actually get low meshes on high meshes, which doesn't make any sense. But look, I have mobile builds. I do not have high meshes when you guys saw high meshes is on. And that is because to actually use high meshes, if you want to be on performance mode but have high meshes, is you need to have your view distance on far now. It used to be medium, now it's far. And you can see that this is medium, but they made cones and floors on medium, still mobile graphics. Oh, okay. Walls and ramps are high meshes. I don't know why. But then far, like I said, that is when all your builds, including cones and floors, will be high meshes. I don't know why it works or why, I don't know anymore. But that is how to actually get high meshes in Chapter 4 Season 4. You need high meshes as well as far view distance. Textures does not matter. But for 95% of you, play on all of these on low, including meshes. Show FPS you can have on. It doesn't really matter. Remember though, guys, we are not done yet because even though these are all of your settings on performance mode, your settings on DX11 and DX12, which is what we're going to switch to, it doesn't matter which you actually go to change the settings. The settings you have in that rendering mode, which again are not even available in performance mode, they actually affect how your game runs and how your game plays when you're on performance mode, regardless of the meshes. I again don't know why it works that way, but we have to go to DX11 or DX12 to actually change them. So that's what you guys should be doing as you fix your settings. And I'm gonna restart. I'll see you guys in a second. So again, I am on DX11 or DX12, and yep, I guess the majority of you guys should go to DX11 because if you followed what I said, you shouldn't have the option for DX12 as a rendering mode. But now look, if you go down, you can just see, oh my lordy lord, there are so many different settings and options that we just did not have on performance mode. That, like I said, they affect how your game runs on performance mode. Why? So beginning with the graphics quality options, you can see that my quality preset is on custom, which you guys won't have the option for. You can see it just disappeared. So what I recommend you do is go to low, skip these two buttons, they are crap. Anti-aliasing and super resolution, turn to off. Temporal super resolution, it should be grayed out because this is off, so this doesn't matter. 3D res though, by default the low quality preset will turn this to 50%. Make sure you go and turn this to 100. Dynamic 3D res and nanite virtualized geometry we can skip. Shadows though turn to off. Global illumination off. Reflections off. View distance on near. Textures on low. Effects on low. And finally post processing on low. You basically want everything to the lowest because that's going to give you the best FPS. But really quick, just for any of you who actually want to try and use these new settings, or not new, but new for Chapter 4, and you can't actually get to them, the way to make these ungrayed out is you actually have to pick an anti-aliasing and super resolution setting. So Nvidia DLSS, you can see that just enabled this one, and you have 3 different options for it. I'm pretty sure that dynamic 3D res, you have to be, yeah, for these two options down here, you have to be on DirectX 12, which if you don't have that option, the option all the way up here, you have to go and download the shaders and the installer options, which I showed before. But as I've been saying for 95% of you, just use the settings I recommend. Basically have everything off or on low. And that means for the advanced graphics, use GPU crash debugging, turn off. Latency markers also turn off. Epic broke those and they just have not fixed them in 2 years. And finally, Nvidia Reflex Low Latency, put this to on plus boost, but if your game isn't running that well, you could try either just on or off. On plus boost should give you the best and lowest latency. Latency is input delay. And yeah, those are all your video settings. The only other setting that is actually kind of important to turn off is in the game settings. The second tab that you have, go down over to, where is it? Extra game options. And for this, go to report performance stats, turn this off, so disabled. And then for replays, if you want the absolute best performance, you should have all of these just off. But I have these two ones on, record replays and creative replays, because I'm a content creator. And then I guess energy saving, you know, if you want the absolute best performance, also turn these ones off. I apologize to the environment, but you know, we're in the business of good FPS.
We don't give a shit about saving fucking energy.
Final settings though, you guys should know which ones these are because it's the only ones that I've skipped. They are your graphic settings, which include your brightness, your user interface contrast, and colorblind mode. Beginning with brightness, I always recommend just to leave this at 100%. I usually recommend that, and you'll see why I'm saying that in a second. User interface contrast though, this one is up to you guys. It only affects how your settings page looks. So in-game, nothing has changed at all. That is literally just for this like weird blue, dark blue color. I just put mine at 1x because who cares about how your settings look? But then the big one, a colorblind mode. I'm the sort of guy who just likes the game to be simple and look kind of plain. So I use no colorblind mode strength 0. However, when I was playing and making the video with Kanata, which you guys should all watch, it was a banger. I noticed that Kanata was using, I believe it was deteuranope strength 4, and he had his brightness at 150%. This is what that looks like. You can see that the greens are a lot darker and the blues are also darker. It's not really as like light or bluey, or maybe it is. It's darker. But why I think it's interesting and why I actually do recommend that some of you guys use it is in these new POIs, which are really like bright and just kind of hard to see things at. What this colorblind option does is it makes everything darker and more contrasted with deuteranope, but at the same time you're cranking your brightness so it's not as dark, which let me show you 100%. This I feel like is too dark. It almost makes things, especially like this guy down here, if he was on the grass it would be impossible to see him. But with Kanata's 150% brightness, it kind of like cancels it out and actually makes it a lot easier to see things, especially if you just don't want to use your normal no colorblind mode. So for chapter 4 season 4 in general, I recommend as always just go and don't use any colorblind mode. Of course, unless you're actually colorblind. But Kanata's little trick, like I said, 150% brightness and then deuteranope 4 or 5. He might even be on 10, but I think that's, oh yeah, nah, that's way too dark. This is looking like Mogrel's old game. Either use Kanata's settings or mine. I think no colorblind mode and all these on default look the best. But either way, those are all the best settings for chapter 4 season 4. Make sure to use code JERIAN, subscribe, like, and your game should be running good. Just look at my 240 FPS. Oh no, it went to 236, man. No!